Hello, hi viewers. Hope all are doing good. Today I have come with another topic, not new but always close to parents' heart. How often we think parenting is a tricky role, or for some, it may be a cakewalk. From the time child starts interacting to their adolescent age, parents go through various experiences. Sometimes it's challenging too. Today, I have Dr. Someshri Kaku, who is a doctor with specialization in child and adolescent psychology. I must specially mention here that this is the first of its kind PhD in this particular topic. Along with that, Dr. Someshri is winner of Donald Cohen Fellowship, Beacon Club Scholarship, and Elsewhere Ambassador Mentor Award as well. She is part of editorial board of International Journal of Child and Adolescent Mental Health. She is also board member, International Society for Autism Research Asia Pacific. Multiple passions or likings are like she's Vidushi in Bharatanatyam. She's also Doordarshan artist and Carnataki classical music is her special liking together with Western guitar. That's something interesting and acting as well. Currently, she is working in St. John's Hospital and she also runs her clinic at Bangalore. Apart from that, Dr. Someshri has conducted over 500 workshops for children and parents across India, of course, to discuss about children, adolescents, and parents' relationship to make the journey happy, successful for every family. Today, we are going to interact with her on the same topic. So, welcome again, ma'am. Invitation. I look forward to the fruitful discussion and thank you once again and welcome to the session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction.
So, first question that came to me is whose tantrum is more challenging for parents, small kids or adolescent kids? We would not call them kids, adolescents.
Yeah, so just to give a perspective, I think even for adolescents, we can kind of call them as kids because many times adolescents are innocent and they really are not aware of what they need and what they want, and many times they will still continue to need guidance from their parents. Only thing is that they are kind of, because of all the biological changes which are going on, because of the environmental influences which they are having, their peer pressure and all of those things, they kind of have the pressure to be able to perform, the pressure to be able to show that they are independent, need not necessarily meaning that they can do it all by themselves. I have had families where parents realize this and kind of embrace adolescents in the way they should, be friends with them and able to discuss their problems, and very successfully support them through the adolescence as well. So here it's hard to say whether the tantrums of small kids is difficult to manage or adolescents, because either I just think that at every age of development, at the whole process of development is influenced by so many factors that it's not necessarily challenging. uh, I feel like most parents should start accepting that this is the normal process of development. The child actually goes through these kind of phases, and because we are the ones who are elder to them, we should be able to mentor
Handle
them
it.
and mold them through it, right? So it should not be looked at like a problem which has to be solved, but more like a journey which you're doing together. And when you're climbing up a mountain, many times you'll have to take rest, you'll have to breathe, you'll have to drink water, you'll have to sit down, and your muscles will get sore, but ultimately the goal is to get there on the top, right? So you don't think that as a challenge. So similarly, I think the whole process of child development and parenting through child development is something like that. You will have to, take a step back, deep breathe, drink a sip of water, see what's going wrong, and then I think you will be able to figure out how to together get there. So I honestly feel like that's the kind of journey parenting should be, rather than pointing out our children's mistakes, or thinking it as a burden to you. It's more like a journey which you should be able to enjoy even if it's tough.
I agree. Because when we were kids, I don't think our parents found it challenging. I'm sure I must have troubled my parents a lot. Okay, moving forward. Next question is it has come from a person who is in US, and she has a very apt question to you to answer. How to prepare children to listen no for their reasonable or unreasonable demands? Most of the time, children think they are correct, and we think we are correct. So, where to sort out that, and where is a boundary line?
Right. So, from my perspective and from my experience of dealing with families from many years now, and from being able to help families with a lot of these kind of issues, what I have come to learn, and even for that matter in child mental health, if you actually go down to the theories of child development and all that, what you have to really understand is, if you're saying no to your child, then probably that's not the 100% right way of parenting. Because we do not prefer parents to say no.
Mhm.
It's more like you should be able to uh, get so much confidence from your children about you, that when you say that this is not appropriate for you, or this is not something which suits you, your child should be able to understand it in a logical perspective, rather than trying to prove that they are correct. Many times that is where the problem starts, that the child starts arguing back, and parents feel like the child is going out of control, and then they start arguing back. They try to be authoritative, and that is when things start falling loose and the chain starts getting broken. You will have to work with children in a way that they develop confidence in you. They are with you through the journey, like I said, right? So when there are smaller children, when they're throwing a tantrum, they need something and they're very stubborn and crying, you might have seen many times that the moment you say, somebody has come near the gate, come, let's open the door, or you tell them, do you want to eat sugar, come, let me give you something in the kitchen. You might have seen that they completely forget about what they wanted, or why they were throwing the tantrum, and they kind of come and forget about it. And that is from the level at which you should start working if you're having little children, that you treat them and teach them to be able to flow through your journey, rather than looking at them as an opposite team. I say no and you have
Okay.
to listen to it, and that never
Yes.
works.
Huh.
And even as we go into adolescence, we see more and more of those kind of problems, because parents don't try to reason it out. Parents don't have the patience to be able to convince their children, or and if let's say, for example, the child is 9 or 10 years of age, and you are giving the child a lot of screen time, buying them a lot of things which they demand for, and then at one point in time when they do not fulfill your dreams, like you want them to get really good marks, or you want them to behave in a particular way in a family function, and then you're disappointed, and then you start cutting off their privileges. You say, you didn't get good marks, so this is gone. You didn't behave very well, so no TV for you. And that is when problems start happening, because you are not in sync. It's called the goodness of fit model. In science, it's called the goodness of fit, right? You If you play blocks in the computer, one block has to fit the other block, and if the block is not perfect, you can't fit them with each other. That's the journey of parenting. You have to understand the way your child is growing up, and also make them realize what are your expectations, and kind of try to bring in that balance and the goodness of fit, to be able to sail with them smoothly, rather than actually fighting about whether you say no, or whether they're listening to you or not listening to you.
Okay, so what I liked about the most fascinating answer or the explanation you gave, don't act as two opposite teams, work as the same team, and then give the logical explanation for that no. And I think that probably works. And as you said, if it's a small kid, distract the child to more better option, and he would or she would forget what was actually going on or demand at
Even
that
if it's
moment.
a big kid, distract for a better option. You know, why
Distract
do
the button.
kids get um, addicted to screen time, or
Hmm.
get addicted to internet use
Hmm.
and social
Hmm.
media
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
gaming and all these things? Is because we are not giving them enough time to do other things, because they're
Hmm.
not aware of what else to do. The moment they're bored, the first thing which comes into their mind is, I have to play on my computer, or let me see what's going on in WhatsApp, or that. Those are the kind of issues we're seeing in adolescence, because parents are too busy to be able to figure out alternative options for children.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, whereas if a child is passionate about basketball or music or
Hmm.
dance or whatever it is, and we motivate them and encourage them, automatically their alternate ways of engaging themselves using screen, TV, and all these things will go down.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think more creative option is the solution to keep them engaged. Wonderful. Ma'am, next question I have, which is very related to today's generation, because competition is tough, and everyone wants to be first in the race. Question asked is next is, what's the special tip to teach children to face failure not only in exams but on other grounds as well?
Yeah, so I think this is some lesson which all of us have learned, and it is part of growing up, that most of the times, most of us are faced with failures. And I think in early years, it comes very naturally when you don't give it to the child, and the child will have to learn to cope up with it,
Yes.
you know. So I think the key message here is not to over pamper or over protect
Hmm.
your children, and to
Hmm.
be able to uh, help them through difficult times. So many times what I have seen sometimes is, if the child doesn't do well in exam, or doesn't get some prize
Hmm.
in some competition,
Hmm.
uh, parents should not say things like, who else got, why you didn't
Comparison.
get. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think that's like the most trivial example I can give from where problems start, because the child starts thinking that he or she is not able to cope up with your expectations. So right from there, you always say, it's okay to fail, but it's okay that you're not trying. It's necessary to try. Even if you fail, it's okay, but trying is what is more important. The journey of trying is more important than the ultimate goal, whether you won or you're lost, or you got 100% marks or you got 95% marks. But what's the point if you get 100% marks and you can't remember the concepts the next academic year, right? Versus you get 95% marks and you are really good with concepts that you remember it all your life. So I feel that children should be taught that the journey is important, and many times it's also necessary of how parents model this.
Hmm.
Parents also have failures.
Hmm.
uh, we also, all of us have family issues. How you deal with these family problems, whether you're losing, giving up, whether you're frustrated, angry, what is your reaction in front of the child, all these things matter when we are trying to teach our children about failure. You failed as an adult, and are you showing them that you can get up, and are you being a model for your children? I think that goes a really long way.
Agree. Completely agree. Uh, as you said, tell them you can go wrong and it's okay to go wrong. It's nothing life and death issue. There is
Yeah.
always a next
And
time.
yeah, I know this again. I think you brought a very good point when you said you can go wrong, because many times what happens is, this is the stage where even if parents are supportive through the journey,
Hmm.
at the ultimate moment they kind of give up and they say, why did you go wrong? And the moment that happens, next time the child will be anxious, right? So this is what typically happens when we see kids with exam phobia, because they're too stressed with the outcome. What
Yes.
my Even if the mom or dad will, in the clinic they'll always come and say, we don't put any pressure, we are okay whatever marks the child gets, but ultimately when the end result comes, everybody wants to be there.
Yes.
So it's that moment also which really matters, and that is what also will play a very important role on how your child will uh, pursue what has to be done in the future.
True. I want to bring one experience here. I was attending cultural program, and one child practiced a lot, Atharva Shirsha, 2 days, and then when it came to performing on the stage during Ganeshotsav, child just denied to go on the stage. Mother got more frustrated than the child, and she took it more to her heart, thinking it's her failure than the child's failure. And then for the
Exactly.
next episode was really not so good. So I think that is
Yeah.
something people need to avoid, and encourage children in both situations and
Yeah.
give them the option of trying once again. Okay.
True. Absolutely.
Next is I think I'm getting more and more difficult questions what I parents are facing. How to handle uh, tantrum and attitude of children even at the very small age itself. They are very stubborn. In common complaint, what parents say, my child just does not listen to what I say. They take me for granted, especially mothers. So, what do you suggest to such mothers?
Yeah. So, see, first of all, if your child is taking you for granted, please look around and see if anybody else is modeling it. Many times, somebody will be modeling it, like
I see.
like the father, or for the father, the mother,
Hmm.
or grandparents, or
Hmm.
some neighbor,
Hmm.
some friend.
Hmm.
Somebody will be modeling that kind of behavior, especially if the child is going to take the mother for granted,
Hmm.
or sometimes even the father for granted, because I've seen all kinds of the whole
Yeah.
range of problems in the society. What is also important here is that, like I said, in very young children, mothers should not take this personally to the heart, because they are not aware of what they're saying. They're just learning and modeling or imitating somebody, right? So it's necessary to be able to divert the child, identify the cause of the issue,
Hmm.
and try to solve the cause rather than looking at a problem that it's a problem of the child.
Hmm.
Many times when the child learns to cry a lot or constantly is throwing tantrums, it's basically because they're seeking attention.
Hmm.
So look for why the child is seeking attention.
Hmm.
Even if the many times I have seen, even if the mother is not working and is constantly available around at the home, in spite of it, the child will have tantrums. So you have to see why the child is having these kind of behaviors. Most of the time in younger children, it is a consequence of attention seeking. So
Ah,
why is the child seeking attention? Is it like uh, you're praising the sibling more than this child,
yes.
or is it like you're not happy with what this child is doing,
Hmm.
or the child asked for something and you're not able to give it?
Hmm.
It can be something as simple as, I want to sleep with my mother, but my mother makes me sleep in a different room. It can be as silly as that. For
Yes.
us
Yes.
adults, it looks like it's silly, but for a child, it's a very big emotional bonding.
True.
So many times, it's like the child is doing an attention seeking behavior by throwing tantrums, because at a very young age, at least till 6 or 7 years of age, they're not really aware of the difference between positive attention seeking and negative attention seeking.
Oh.
So they can't demand good attention, like they can't help you and look for your praise.
Hmm.
The other way around, it's easy for them to throw a tantrum, be stubborn, cry, and
Hmm.
seek your attention.
Hmm.
But what as parents we have to do, especially as mothers, is to be able to increase positive attention seeking and slowly decrease negative attention seeking. So when the child is throwing a tantrum, or instead of immediately yelling back at the child or beating the child, just
Hmm.
try to divert, distract from that particular situation, and see if later on you can find the root cause of the problem and treat the problem, and not
Yes. Not the
look
person.
at your child.
Child's.
And the
Yeah.
next time when the child does something nice, appreciate a lot, give lot of positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Many times when I tell this in the clinic, mothers find it funny. They find it very silly. Like, for example, I tell them, the moment you step out of my clinic, you will tell your daughter or son or whoever it is that you've been a very nice child. You
Mm-hmm.
sat through the consultation in the doctor's room
Mm-hmm.
very quietly, and I'm very proud of you. And they
Mm.
find it very abnormal. I mean, I know we don't make that kind of conversations, but
Yes.
these are the kind of things that the children like.
Yes.
You know, when you, let's say, go to the bank, for example, and you're waiting
Mm,
for some work to be done, and your child is waiting there with you,
mm,
keep talking to the child, engaging the child. Once you step out, you tell the child, I was very happy that you behaved so well inside the bank. You did not give me any trouble. I'm really happy. Next time also, I'll be looking forward to bringing you with me. And immediately, the child will. These are the things which form very good positive brain connections for
yes.
later,
Yes.
and the child will remember these moments, and
Yes.
it'll form newer and newer circuits in the brain,
True.
which will help the child to have these kind of behaviors even the next time something like this happens. So
True. True.
and the next time maybe you go to the post office, and then you say, that day, in the bank you were such a good boy, today also will you be like that? And the child will be, yeah, yes, of course. And then maybe 2-3 times down the line, you will reward the child. You'll say, you behaved well here, you behaved there, so today I'm going to buy you an ice cream, or I'll buy you a chocolate.
Mm,
So you kind of keep doing these kind of positive reinforcements, so
mm.
that all this stubborn behavior, adamancy, tantrums, and all these things should go down.
Makes sense. I guess awarding motivates them to be good next time again. At the same time, not too much of pampering is good for doing something which is not welcome behavior. Wonderful. Next question comes is this is most of my friends facing because most of them are 35 plus now. The children are 15-16 age group, and it's a hard phase of life for parents. So adolescent children have grown up too big to their age, thanks to media or surrounding or the growth of society as whole. Having said so, they are not matured enough to understand the situation of their parents, though. So it's a very selective maturity. When it comes to their selfish goal, they behave very big. But when it comes to parents' situation and maybe something that they really should behave maturely in the situation, that's where parents find it difficult to handle them. And most of the parents face this issue when children are in their 9-10 standard age group. You can blame the age, at the same time I think upbringing, so something you can talk about.
Yeah, so like I said, it's not like they are selfish, or it's not like they are only focused on their needs. It's more of their age. And like I said, they're still innocent. It's only how you deal with them, which is what will help you solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have had families where children stopped going to school, but the parents were so supportive with their children that, yeah, they went through a difficult phase for 1.5 year, but they all came out from it very, very successfully. So I feel like it's a combination of, you have to do your homework well to
Yes.
be able to pass your exam, right? So you have not worked on building trust with your child for many years since childhood, and all of a sudden you realize the problems at ninth or 10th grade. It will be difficult to solve, but it is still doable,
Yeah.
especially if the parents are determined to do it.
Hmm.
Many
Hmm.
times this is another thing which I see in the clinic. The moment the child has a problem and they come to me, parents feel like, I can solve all the problems,
Yeah.
but it won't work that way.
Yeah.
Because how much ever you go to a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, ultimately the
It's
child
a
is there
family.
24/7 at home in the
Yes.
family.
Yes.
Unless the whole family circumstances change.
Mm-hmm.
I recently had a boy who is not willing to go to school in 10th standard. He should be going to 10th standard.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the parents have interpersonal issues, and mother and father have been fighting for many,
Hmm.
many years now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he always blames their fight for his
Hmm.
plight.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, how much ever I try to work with him, and in spite of working with the parents and being able to do a lot of family therapy, the parents are not willing to
Hmm.
sort out their issues.
Hmm.
And they say it's okay, we will separate, and whatever happens, but you fix our child.
Ah.
Even if you want to get separated, you get that confidence in your child that you'll all be fine,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I can't stop somebody from making decisions in their
Yes.
family. I
Yes.
can support them through their decisions, but
Yes.
many times, unless you work as a family, as a
Yes.
team, as a
Yes.
unit, it's really hard to solve these problems. So the take home for this particular question, I feel, is it's a combination of the whole process of upbringing,
Hmm.
not necessarily like, of course everybody have moral values, cultural values, spiritual values. There is no doubt all these are important, but at the same time the key thing is to not lose trust of your children.
Mhm.
The moment that trust is lost, I have parents who will say she lies or he steals money, and these are all the tiny things from where the
Yes,
problems
yes,
start, and
yes,
then children become stubborn, adamant, and like you said, parents
yes,
start feeling that they're selfish and they're
yes.
mature only for their particular
Hmm.
issues. It's
Hmm.
not necessarily like that.
Hmm.
They do all those things because they don't know how else to express their anger and frustration. That is why they
Mhm.
do all such kind of
Mhm.
behaviors. So
Mhm.
I think as parents you should be able to understand these problems and be able to help them through it, rather than, like I said, dealing with them as two separate teams. Yeah, they're not on your enemy team, you're all
Yes,
in one team and you have to
yes,
work as a team.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a keyword we caught. We are a team.
Yeah.
Also, I guess, Doctor, somewhere my observation, mothers and fathers both should, from the beginning, give such an atmosphere and such an upbringing to children that everything that is happening is for the family and they are part of the family. So whether it's helping mother in the kitchen, helping father to clean the car, or keeping your shoes on the rack, um, packing your bag yourself, everything is a part of all our life and it has to be done on daily basis. Mother is not going to be all the time available for you for such things. She also has her priorities, her commitments, and you should respect that. That has to be communicated from day one. And then I think whatever the person is facing, people facing, especially nowadays,
Yeah.
can be avoided perfectly fine.
Yeah, so I think more than like you said, more than communication,
Yeah.
like saying, it's not about being communicative, saying you should do this because I am cooking, you should help
Huh.
your dad
Huh.
because you're part of the family.
Huh.
Not like that.
Uh-huh.
We are all a family and we
Family.
all share
Yes.
these things together.
Yes. Yes.
I leave my slippers in the rack, so should you.
Yes.
It should not be like you're giving them a task. It should
No.
be like a part of normal routine,
Process.
like
Yes.
how you eat and how you take bath and how
Yes.
you brush. It's all
Yes.
part of the normal process which happens in the house.
True.
Because I have also seen this. The moment
It's
kids
a
become
task
six or
based
seven,
thing.
mother
Yeah.
starts saying, "You have to help me now. You're big.
Ah,
You have to do this. You
ah,
have to take responsibility.
ah,
You have to clean because
ah.
I am doing this for you." It's not like that. It's not like a barter system. I am
Yes.
cooking for you, so you do this for me.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
everybody is part of the home.
Home.
It
Yeah.
will become a home rather than house when you all feel that it's a
True.
home and
True.
join together.
True.
So if you're playing, you're all doing it together. If
Yeah.
you're watching some movie, you're all doing it together. At the same time, if you're cooking or cleaning or whatever it is, you're all sharing the tasks. That's it.
True. Major change I see from my generation to today's generation. I'm reading a question as it is. There is no fear in the process of becoming courageous. They are becoming rude. How to address this?
Other way around, when that generation existed, you were so scared of your parents, but now our kids are not scared anymore.
Hmm.
It's also how the world has evolved because
Uh-huh.
of media, because of influences and all
Yes.
these things. So
Yes.
I also want parents to rethink and mothers to rethink who is modeling the behavior. Are you yelling at the child? Because if you show that shouting and yelling is okay at home,
Hmm.
your child is just going to imitate you right from childhood.
Hmm.
So they are going to think that yelling is okay
Hmm.
and being rude and
Hmm.
um, fighting at home is okay.
Hmm.
So it's not like rudeness comes suddenly when they're adolescents. It's
Yes.
also probably because, and many times maybe this also might be true, that they're modeled by their peers, if not at home.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
also keep a watch for what are the kind of friends they are influenced by. Is there somebody, is there in the environment your neighbor child, or in the school their friends who are there, anybody is modeling them for these kind of behaviors. So I
Yes.
think all of these things have to be kept in mind.
Yeah, I think that's true. Most of the time,
Yeah.
it's a school environment or a friend circle that impacts the behavior most of the time,
Yeah,
the on the
yeah,
children. True.
yeah.
Now,
And I think,
last, yeah.
sorry,
No, no.
I think more than thinking that there's a generation gap or the new generation is all bad, because
Mm-hmm.
I have seen kids who are really amazing even
Yes,
now,
yes,
no doubt.
yes.
They're very supportive, very nice to parents, very nice to family members, and they take care of families really very well. This is only what we read in newspapers and
Mm-hmm.
in the media, that kids are, so
Few,
it's like
few. Mm-hmm.
what you read is also what you think and believe it's true. So maybe when all of us are looking in the internet, we should look for good incidents and good events. And many times when I go and browse for these kind of issues, I try and see, there's a girl in Africa or somewhere, where she by herself wants to earn money for the family. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of being dependent on the family, every Saturday she kind of, her grandmother is apparently a very good cook.
Mm-hmm.
So she makes her grandmother bake biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
She'll take it to the market with her grandmother. She'll
Mm-hmm.
sell those biscuits and she'll come back. So it's not like just because we are in some techno generation, it doesn't mean
Yes,
everything is lost.
yes. True.
Definitely, kids are good even now. It's only what we read, what we learn from the media.
Yeah, to some extent, parents are facing this personally because of influence of various situations. But again, as you rightly said, once you discuss within the family with logic, why is this like this and why it is not like that, so then I think the problem is much more easy to sort out than seeing the negativity and other things on media. Media also is influenced by society, so it's two-way traffic.
No, media is not actually influenced by society. Media is media because they want their views to go up. I have a family friend who once was actually telling me that if your headlines is the key, right? So you are into you have studied journalism, so I'm sure you know a little bit of this as well.
Yeah,
That headlines is the key. What do
yeah,
you put? You say today in Bangalore, 2,000 people got tested with corona,
right.
versus you say today in Bangalore, only 100 people had symptoms of
Yeah,
corona enough
yeah,
to be admitted to the
yeah,
hospital, but
yeah.
1,900 people actually are okay and home quarantine. That's not what the news will tell you,
Huh,
right? So
yeah.
I feel like most of the media is all about the hype.
Mm,
So even if it is, for that matter, in movies or in serials or
mm,
celebrity news or sports news or
mm,
whatever it is, it's
mm.
all a little bit more exaggerated because they want public to seek,
Yeah,
it's like
they
triggering
have.
the reward pathways in your brain.
Yes,
Our brain
yes.
has reward pathways. So your media uses these kind of techniques to be able to engage the society.
And a few points
Unfortunately.
I want to add to it is uh, media has an agenda and they want to be on the top of TRP. That is one side to look at it. Second thing, when I'm reading a newspaper, if I see a lady is attacked or anything, my eyes goes first to that news than seeing that 2000 people are free or out of corona. I want to read that news first. So somewhere we need to channelize our mind as well and our habits as well to see the positivity rather than uh, getting attracted to
True,
negativity.
true,
Makes sense.
absolutely.
Okay, then last question from my side, and then we will have people asking you because I'm already getting a lot of questions and some good comments by yogic neurosurgeon as well. Corona period has become a serious worry for almost everyone. We don't want to see the negativity, but let's be updated and realistic check as well. But for children and eventually for parents, it has become a nightmare because children are not able to move out of the house. They are not able to play with their friends, go to school. That is a basic thing which who is uh, able to do all the time, but they are not able to do it. So my request to you is you need to advise to all the parents on this chat today and going to be seeing the YouTube tomorrow. There are three categories I want you to comment on. So the first one is any hygiene tips that you want to say. is the first thing. Once you tell that, then I will pop up the next question.
Okay, so see, staying indoors definitely is challenging, but most of the parents are also working from home. So just yesterday, I made a video on, so I have a YouTube channel, Soumya Shri M. Kaku,
Mm-hmm.
where I kind of keep posting videos about child mental health and development. I'm sure, Ketki ji, you have seen that.
Yes, yes, I do.
Uh, just yesterday, I've made a video, and I think today night it will go up on how to keep parental mental health well,
Mm-hmm.
especially while staying with kids in the corona at home, right? So, first important message is probably that you should have a routine with your kids. So, when you're at home, even if throughout the day you have to work or if you have to engage kids, have a routine which you kind of follow. Sorry, have a routine which you follow throughout the day, and make sure your children also follow that routine so that the home is less chaotic on most of the days, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second important thing, and coming to your point about hygiene, is if you go out, the moment you come in, wash your hands with soap and water. And
Mm-hmm.
like you've all been reading in media, drink warm water, usual household remedies like using ginger, turmeric, and
Yeah.
all the natural immunity boosters. Continue to do all that. Eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. If you buy vegetables from outside, wash them thoroughly.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of scientific information in internet about all these things. But no need to panic. I think panicking is what will make the situation get worse.
Mm-hmm. You want to take a break? Okay. So second question in the same context is about mental health, because it's now really catching up. And I myself, couple of weeks back, got into little bit of disturbed mood. Reasons can be anything, but most of the people are facing this. So something for children
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah. So I think for children and adolescents, try to keep them engaged, especially because their schools are not there.
Hmm.
And unlike you, they don't have access to WhatsApp, friends, phone calls, because you have access to all those things as parents and
Yes,
adults.
yes.
But for them, the need to socialize is definitely there.
Hmm.
So even if they can't meet their friends, you try to play with them, engage them in entertaining activities at home, have a movie night, cook something interesting together rather than the usual routine things.
Yes.
Make them feel enjoy that home time is also enjoyable,
Hmm.
and this is not something which will come again and again in one's life. This
Hmm.
pandemic situation. So
Hmm.
I just feel like you should make the best use of
Use
this
of it.
time.
Yes, yes,
Be positive, enjoy with your family,
yes,
and don't stress over what's happening outside.
yes. Yeah. Mental health is something, again, work as a family, and it can be addressed.
Yeah,
Next.
and switch off the television. If you
Ah,
have
yes.
television, please switch off the televisions. You use it as much as, like, we don't have television at home,
Hmm.
but we kind of give screen time for our kids only. Like, we have a movie night when
Hmm.
we will watch a movie with a theme, and then we will discuss that theme and what happened in the movie, where your kids won't feel like they're outdated, but
Yeah.
at the same time they're not being fed with too much of unnecessary information.
Information. Agree. The
And
last.
like, you also know that when Sushant Singh
Yeah.
Rajput's suicide happened,
Yeah.
everybody knows about that, but
Yes.
many people do not know about how many adolescents committed suicide after listening to his suicidal
Hmm.
memes,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is all the influence of watching TV over and over again, getting excessively and emotionally attached
Yes.
to things or people, which is of no good.
True. True. And again, a good lesson. I'm not good, but it's a lesson on how to handle failure. We need to explain that too as well to children, that this is not the end of
Absolutely.
everything. There is always another option available, and a better option available
Absolutely.
possible.
Huh.
Now,
And
last
so
question.
this is what you should model and teach step by
Yes,
step,
yes,
not when these incidents happen and your children question you.
true,
It should be part of learning.
true, true, true. Now, last question in this context, Doctor, for the corona situation, what is the potential risk in context with children?
So if you look at
Possibly
all
schools
the
may open, possibly some sort of exposure may happen.
No,
So
see, possibly schools are not going to open this
open
whole
it.
of academic year.
Mm-hmm.
So at least till 2021, I don't think schools are going to open
Mm-hmm.
at this point in time, because we are probably going to see the second wave of pandemic in another 2-3 months.
I
So
see.
definitely, I don't think schools are going to open. If you look at data from all the scientific evidence which has been gathered from across the world, 0 to 10-year kids have around 0.5% of getting an infection or becoming symptomatic. And even in 10 to 19 years of age, the incidence is very, very low.
I
And
see.
most of the time, children will be carriers of the infection. They will not really become symptomatic. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely, you have to keep them safe, because there will be older people at home who
Yes.
might be having other comorbidities.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, very simple hygiene techniques, using a mask, washing hands, not uh, going into social gatherings, not taking your kids when you go to buy groceries or vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and keeping them indoors, because even if they get an infection, you will not know. But if an
Yes.
adult gets an infection, maybe you'll get fever or sore throat or something, and you'll come to know. And this is just for the safety of everybody in the family.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the mortality rate of corona is around 2 to 3%, which means in 100 people, 97 people will be okay.
Yes.
It's like any other viral infection. Just because we did not know much about it, there's so much of anxiety and panic in
Anxiety
the
and worry.
society.
Yes.
And if you are not stressed, keep your family surroundings positive. Just yesterday, I think I saw a WhatsApp video. I'm sure some of you might have seen it, where one man is saying, I'm 60 years old, this is my mother who's 85 years old, this is my wife who's 56 years old, and there are little grandchildren who are 1 year and 2 years old, and he says, all of us have corona, but media is all false, we are all fine. It's
Yes.
just how positive you are, which will help you to come out of it, even if you get infected.
Infected. Right. So thank you. I think I'm done with my questionnaire set. Now I will open for everyone to ask the question. Your tips, your every kind of advice definitely will help young parents and children to cope up with the COVID challenge and in general as well. So once again,
Yeah,
dhanyawad.
I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and dhanyawad from my side as well.